All right, so welcome back. So hopefully you enjoyed that first round, a little bit of a flavor of the exercises. Once you learn how to do some of these, then you probably don't need as many details. But one of the things that for me that makes sense is giving you guys those details so that you can practice certain things, because otherwise, to me, there are these obstacles that are going to come. So for example, you start practicing Qigong, you're with a group, maybe the teacher doesn't know these sorts of things. Well, you start getting lightheaded, you start feeling spacey, you start feeling dizzy, whatever the case may be, and they'll just say, oh, that's fine, like go sit down, right? But with the work that I do, again, there's always something behind it. Something maybe is going on in your liver, something's going on in the gallbladder. Anyway, we can look at it, and that gives you information to then be able to heal yourself. Understand that when you do the Qigong practice, yes, it feels nice, and in moments it feels great and wonderful. And then in other moments you feel off. It's because it's a practice of detoxification. It's also a practice, at least the way I've trained it over the years, it is a practice of self-discipline. It is a practice of self-control. Regulating, I didn't say this earlier, but back when I had all that other stuff going on and my body was all haywire and I was 25 and all of that, I had full-on anxiety attacks. I mean, full-on, like these panic attacks that you hear about people have, maybe some of you have had them. I had it full on, total meltdown, didn't know how to control it, hated it. And all they could do was say, well, let's put you in counseling, let's give you some medication, which I didn't take. So what do? Well, I started learning all this stuff, learned to manage my breath, learned to control my anxiety. You have any idea how huge that is for me? I wouldn't be standing here doing what I'm doing with you guys today. There's no way I'd be like traveling the country, teaching people, have the mindset to be able to write my book, have the mindset to show up, homeschool my daughter, show up, whatever. Go teach the kids jiu-jitsu, all the different things that I do. Like, it wouldn't happen. So this for me is a form of self-regulation of mind, of emotion, of body, and there are details that I think are important for you to know. So we practice waterfall a few times. I can say, oh, okay, we're good, just walk away. But I want to teach you get grounded afterwards, because there's going to be days you do that and you just feel out of it. You feel like wonky, you know what I mean? So these are important little details to catch along the way. I want to give you a little bit of a demonstration with the help of one of my teachers, Keith. Come on over here, Keith. You knew it was coming. So this is just a dialogue. This allows me, it's difficult for me, you're going to go to standing tree meditation. It's difficult for me to, even though I do it, but go to standing tree meditation. This puts me in a zone. And then I try and juggle what I'm saying and teach all you guys at the same time. It's a lot to juggle. So if somebody like Keith is here, I take advantage of that, because then he can show you while I talk to you about it and tell you a little bit about it. And this is hopefully going to give you some information and then also empower you to practice this practice. That's the whole reason for it, okay? This is a very old school practice. It takes a lot of discipline to do it, even for 5 minutes. It takes a lot of discipline to do it on a regular basis, but I will tell you from personal experience, this practice right here can and will change your life if you practice it. Again, we're dealing with different cultures. So in the Asian culture, this is actually referred to, slight variations of this, is sometimes called standing Wu-Ji posture, which Wu-Ji is this idea of like infinite space. This posture has often been referred to as doing not much of anything, practicing doing nothing. But just to stand there takes some discipline. When I was first taught this exercise, it was taught to me by this master that I've been working with, who's not available to the public, but he trains about maybe 20 of us. And he said, I'll teach you, but you have to go teach the public. I said, deal. So here we are. So The first time that I was, given the opportunity to do this, he stood me in front of a group like you guys, and he had me do this for an hour. I'd never stood like this for even 5 minutes. And he started dialoguing, just like I'm about to do here, about what the exercise was. I had so much energy coursing through my body, it's hard to describe. And I felt like I was either going to shoot off the floor or fall down. I wasn't sure which was going to happen. It was very bizarre and interesting. This exercise opens up the channels, the energy meridians in the body, the acupuncture meridians. It opens up the foot chakras. There's energy vortices in your feet that allow you to pull energy from the ground. The energy starts moving up through the feet, and then typically for most people, most of us, because of life, things we eat, so on, all of it, the energy starts getting blocked in the ankles. In Chinese medicine, in order for you to have energy, vitality, and health and all of it, the energy has to go to your kidneys. We talk about the kidneys in the Western world from one perspective, and it definitely relates to Chinese medicine, but Chinese medicine has a particular view on the kidneys. They're a major foundation to your health, your longevity, and your vitality. This exercise, if you practiced it for 5 minutes, we're going to watch Keith closely practice this, because while I'm doing all of this for you guys, he's over there having an internal experience already. I know, because I can feel it, and soon you're going to start seeing it. It's going to become visible if it's not visible to you already, because he's already starting to internally shake. So if you don't have the eyes to see it, just look a little closer, because he's already starting to shake inside. All right? Energy starts moving up through the legs, and now it's getting even more so. You can see it. Energy starts moving up through the legs. You can see I can see his pants shaking and vibrating. It comes up into the kidneys. It starts charging the lower battery. This is the lower dantian. Check it out. You're seeing your first demonstration of medical Qigong. If I bring my attention here, I don't have to touch. I could touch, whatever, but I'm just showing you where the location is. When I bring my attention and my energy here, he'll tell you what happens later. It's a whoosh. All of a sudden, something's happening, and there's a greater concentration of energy. And then when I let that go, for example, he'll tell you what that's like maybe a little bit afterwards. But the vibrating, look, you see how his breath is now climbing? He opened up the ribs, he opened up his chest, and I can literally hear like this deeper exhale happen. I just helped him to make that happen. So he's practicing Qigong. I just added a little medical Qigong. This is a very potent combination. This standing practice at home will be difficult. I recommend 3 minutes at a time, but set your timer 3 minutes, and you don't touch the timer until the timer goes off. You don't scratch your face, you don't move your feet. And why is that so important? Because by standing still, are you ready? Take a deep breath. Catch this. By standing very still, another excellent breath he's starting to have here. By standing still, you're doing what Qigong means. Qigong means the skilled cultivation of universal life force, gathering Qi. You start gathering Qi. The Qi then goes and starts running through your body, trying to move. I'm going to move the sign before the wind moves the sign. I could feel it coming. I'm on to that wind now. So it starts moving the Qi and the blood in your body, and wherever the Qi and the blood and the lymphatic system is stuck, wherever your emotions are stuck, trust me, you're going to feel it, because it's going to ache right there. It's going to ache right there. It's going to ache right there. But here's the thing. In general, because when you start, you can only do 3 minutes. But as you build up to say, I had a woman I was working with, she's 74 or something. She could not, it was very difficult for her to do this. She started practicing this over a year, And by the end of the year, she was doing 25 minutes every day like this. That's impressive for this particular exercise. She stood taller, she had more energy, her body was stronger. She had this, in Chinese medicine, when you're running out of energy, yes, we call it qi in general, but when we get specific in traditional Chinese medicine, we say, because some of you are journeying this right now, you haven't just run out of qi. That's like basic energy. Your vitamins, your herbs, your nutrition, whatever you're eating, all of that, that's all related to your metabolism, and that's related to qi. Really shaking now. Starting to vibrate, breath starting to change. But in Chinese medicine, we have this other word. It means essence. It's called Jing. If you don't have any essence, you can drink the caffeine, you can take the vitamins, you can take the herbs, your digestion doesn't even work right. Jing means essence. You have to rebuild as best you can your essence. There's old school masters who will tell you you can't rebuild your essence once you're born. It's impossible. I disagree. When they told me at 25 years old, they said, hey, look, your spine looks like you're 85, and I felt like I was 85, and then at 56, I feel like I'm at least 25, let's say. I disagree that you can't reverse some of that. So I just think it's a difference in language. But anyway, we have qi running through the body. This is the river I was talking about earlier. You guys want to see something cool and weird at the same time? All right. Set your stuff to the side if you have anything in your lap. Give yourself a little space from the person next to you so you can move just a little, just a little. Don't need much space, just need a tiny bit of space so you don't bonk them with your arm. Medical Qigong is known as a form of field therapy. I talked about energy fields earlier, didn't I? Field therapy. I told you earlier that your heart field reaches all the way from here to where? The moon. You guys want to help Keith? You guys want Keith to help you? As you help Keith, Keith's going to vibe you back. Because as you vibe him with your energy, he's going to vibe you right back. He's already helping you, but he's going to vibe you back. Watch what happens. I'm going to stay out of it. I'm not going to do the healing work. You guys are going to do the healing work. Start rubbing your hands together like I showed you earlier. And the one thing I want you to notice, I want you to pay really close attention to, guys, it's already starting to change. Watch his breath. Aside from everything else, watch his breath. And by the way, not going to do this to anybody that's brand new today because you might get bowled over by what you're about to do. But he's been training with me for 4 years. I know he can be grounded in it. On 3, you're going to point your hands and imagine you're sending your good intentions, your energy to Keith. And then hold them there, and then I'll say relax or something, but hold them there. When you're ready, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Point and shoot. He's having a hard time standing there. That's a lot of qi you're putting toward him. But he's doing it. He's breathing through it. Now I want you to take your hands and point them right to the ground because I want you to ground him and I want you to ground that energy. And I want you to watch him very closely while you're doing that. But make sure you're focused on putting the energy in the ground. Make sure you're putting the energy in the ground. See that saliva he's getting in his throat? That's how I know you're putting the energy in the ground. You're moving that qi back in the direction of his digestion. You're settling him down. You are settling him down. Keep your energy going toward the ground because it's helping him settle down. You're saying, without saying, Keith, settle down. Settle down. Now I want you to take your hands and kind of go up like above your head like a waterfall kind of, and go like that, like you're going down Keith's body and sending his energy down to the ground, like you're washing away any debris that got stirred up during that healing session. Just put it in the ground, put it in the ground, put it in the ground. He gets a nice deep breath right there. And now, just like any good healer, I want you to actually stand up from right where you are, and I want you to turn around and look at the sky and forget about Keith for a minute. Look at the sky, what a beautiful day it is. Walk around in your spot, look at a tree. Leave Keith alone. Leave his energy alone, leave him alone. Go back to doing your own thing. And then brush your hands like this. Brush your hands like, all right, cleaning off, we're good. And then bring yourself back over here and your observation back here. And you're not doing anything anymore, so to speak. You can sit, you can stand, whatever's comfortable. I'm gonna come over here. This is one of the ways I like to ground people if they're seated or standing as opposed to on my massage table. It's kind of difficult to do this when they're on my massage table. But I'm just going to come over here. I place my foot here. And it's not just that I put my foot here. It takes some years of experience, but I put my mind in the ground. I make myself very heavy. That's going to start to bring him down. Sometimes when I'm doing a demonstration like this, especially if you were brand new and I did this even a little bit, which happens sometimes in the seminars, people will go into an anxiety attack. They're not used to this. Their stuff comes up and then, whoo, it's too much. As soon as I come over and do this and ask them to take a couple of breaths, we can take the anxiety attack, boom, just settle it right down. In the Qigong world, that's called grounding. A lot of people talk about it, but a lot of people don't really have a grasp of grounding. I'll say it like that simply. I want you to have a grasp of grounding and that you have some references for what grounding is rather than just thinking you're grounded, because that's very different. So Keith, I want you to go ahead and take 3 breaths. There's one of my videos, the most popular video on YouTube at the moment, even though there may be some conspiracy about what I'm about to say, but anyway, it was the most popular video back, I don't know, like 7 years ago. It has like over 104,000 views. And then it disappeared to the point where I can't even find my video half the time on the back end. And it's called Medical Qigong Master Gives Free Healing. And it got 100,000 views, and then like I can barely find it. Like it doesn't come up. I have people search for it, and they can't get to it. Anyway, it's just an interesting side piece, who knows. But anyway, the other one that is still pretty popular and more easily found is I did some healing work. I want you to take 3 breaths, and then when you're ready, I want you to start to wiggle fingers and toes. You can see one of my clients and students who became an instructor within our program where she was recovering from cancer, 3-time cancer survivor. She was on 13 different medications. 2 were IV chemotherapy drugs. She's ex-military. They said she'd be on those chemotherapy drugs for the rest of her life. Test results ended up improving so much that she no longer takes those. She's no longer on the large majority of those drugs, just a low dosage, last I heard, of a high blood pressure medication. Qigong is very powerful, especially if you can harness it and have some idea what you're doing with it. So that was our little demonstration. Keith, what would you like to say to the folks here? Let me, I'm going to give you, as best I can, the microphone. And just anything you want to tell them, as usual, what you experienced there.
Yeah, well, obviously pretty intense. Right away, I don't usually need to move or feel the urge to move. but I felt like I had to get out of that standing posture, and like I just felt this need to move. And it settled down eventually, but I felt energy rising right away, immediately. And then as David put his hands on me, obviously that brings more energy and awareness to my lower dantian, and energy's rising even more. So that's, that brought about more shaking and more vibration.
If you hear that, he's like, still shaking.
Yeah, I'm still shaking quite a bit. And it's obviously hard to explain too. These, like, bringing words to these kinds of experiences are difficult. But yeah, so just energy and emotion rising. I felt a lot of tension in my middle upper back, especially towards the end after everybody had pointed at me. So obviously I got a huge breath of energetic rising and breath when everybody pointed to me.
And you've had some issues in that back area already, correct?
Yeah, mostly lower back.
And surgery.
Yep. Surgery in my lower back, yep.
And one of the reasons he's still in Qigong is because it helped to heal his back following the surgery, so that now he can go back. He used to play a lot of sports and stuff, but then he started going out and surfing, and now he's able to surf and practice Qigong. So once again, the Qi goes to the area where it's blocked right away. He's telling you he felt it blocked there. So if you could say a little bit more about when you felt them, their hands to you, and then when they took their hands away.
Yeah, so hands to me immediately was like a giant rush of energy coming up from the ground, and I just felt it immediately. It brought my breath up. I had a huge breath. So that increased the energy, the intensity of the energy that I was feeling in my body in general during that practice. And then as you grounded me, I felt it immediately just kind of wash down from the top of my head all the way down to my feet.
So as we were grounding, he felt the energy wash from his head down to his feet. You guys were also doing something, right? To do that exact thing. Wash the energy from the head down to the feet. Continue.
And I also felt, so the opposite of that, when everybody pointed to me, I felt energy like blasting out of the top of my head. I just felt like this huge rush of energy pouring out of my head, especially when I took the big breaths. I got the big breath. The top of the breath was like lots of energy shooting out. And yes, hard to contain it and hold it all in and stay still during that. But my practices have allowed me to be able to do that. But it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult to stand and deal with that amount of energy. So
awesome, great job. Little round of applause for Keith there. All right, you can go sit down there, Keith. All right, so that's just a little demonstration of that. We will come back in a little while after we have a nice little break, but we'll come back, and at some point we will have you guys practice standing tree meditation again, now having that in your consciousness of what is this? And I will also give you some further instructions about, because one of the things that anybody that's thinking about it at all will ask me, what should I be doing? Because I'm thinking about stuff and then like I'm falling asleep. What's the thing I should be doing for my 3 minutes that I'm doing it, or my 10 minutes that I'm doing it? Okay, and what can I expect afterwards, and so on. So this is the 6th exercise of our set. I showed you, and I'll go back and reiterate because our sign fell down. So I actually even missed one of the primary 6, which I'll come back and teach you afterwards. But we've done 5 of the primary 6. You'll have 6, plus there'll be extras on the video you can go back and watch later. But we'll talk a little bit about before, during, and after with standing tree meditation. We'll get back to that in a little bit. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next round.